Hello and welcome to my video covering the Forge World 2017 year in review. It was a very big year for Forge World as well as Games Workshop. You know, Games Workshop, we had the full release of the 8th edition along with about 10 codexes, which is insane. But also Forge World, big year for them too. Again, I think they churned out more models than they ever have done, much the same as Games Workshop. So let's have a look, and at the end I'll give you my favourite model of the year. Right at the end, you can't really vote for your favourite model, I don't think, for Forge World, but you can for Games Workshop. So I urge you to obviously go on the main Games Workshop website, for the Warhammer community one, and you can do so. So 2017 started off with the release of the largest Imperial flyer, which was the Stormbird. When this thing launched in January, it was £750. I purchased one for the channel. There are videos on the channel for it, so if you want to have a look at me unboxing one and what it looks like sort of almost built, go ahead. Fantastic model. I was looking at pictures and previews and things for it for bit less than a year before. I've always been very interested in the Stormbird flyer as a concept. I never thought that they'd go down the route of slightly bigger Thunderhawk. Now the wings are huge, bigger than the Thunderhawk. You know, the troop capacity is what, 50. It's got the void shields. You've got to wonder whether you could use it in game. There are rules to use it in game, but because it doesn't have the stand, it's going to be quite difficult. So it's more of a display piece. I mean, I'd go as far as to say the Thunderhawk is more of a display piece because it doesn't have that stand and things. But still a remarkable model, and it really set the scene up for the updated Thunderhawk. More on that a little bit later. So it kicked off with the Stormbird, which is a fantastic model. February then saw the release of the book 7 Inferno, which I have. It goes into the Burning of Prospero campaign and has all the rules for the Custodes, except for the Orion flyer, which came out later in the year obviously. This year is very memorable for Custodes. They released a load of tanks for them, I think the jet bikes as well, the flyer, the Terminators, Sagittarium. They really did flesh out the Custodes army, and I hope they do so in the 41st Millennium too. Now that they are kind of more active, taking a more active role, now that Gilliman is back. Also you had the Moritat, and you had a Carachnus assault tank in March, so you had a selection of models. They sort of coincided with the Shadow War Armageddon as well release, and also Blood Bowl had a few sort of unique sort of miniatures that they made in resin. In April you finally got some Space Wolves and Thousand Suns models to complement that book 7, and May you added some more Primarchs to the 31st Millennium in the form of Magnus, along with all of his elite warriors, more Thousand Suns. And then in June we saw the release of the Thunderhawk. I managed to get my Thunderhawk a few weeks, maybe a month before it was released, back in May. One of these will still cost you £450. It hasn't gone up like the Stormbird went up by £25. Fantastic model. I'll talk more about this model later on in the video. But I got the model, unboxed it, reviewed it. Fantastic model. I can't say enough good things about the model either. It's everything I sort of hoped for and wanted. Yeah, it's a shame it's not plastic, but difficult to get that kind of detail on plastic, I tell you, especially a model sort of that big. And then in July they then brought out the Gabriel Angelus, part of the sort of Warhammer 40,000 Heroes sort of collection. We'll look at it in a little bit, but they were then to go on to release some Red Scorpions characters, and it's a good foundation. I think they should release more Warhammer 40,000 characters in the Forge World resin. But then in August, for Age of Sigmar, they released the Rogue Idol for the Orion Grot armies. And then in September we saw the release of the Orion dropship. Of course, I managed to pick mine up a month before in August at the Forge World Open Day. Fantastic model. bigger than it looks. It doesn't look very big in that picture either, but it is bigger than it looks. Also, the guns for the Sakara and Omega, the plasma guns, again, look thinner than they do in that picture too. So yeah, the Orion is a big ship. It's not as big as a Thunderhawk, no way. It finally gives you the option of transporting around your Custodes in style. Pretty much they teleport everywhere anyway, but still, you're now given that option, and it's the biggest sort of centerpiece that you can get for your Custodes army. Moving into October, they released some doors for the Primaris Repulsors and the Demos pattern Rhinos, and they then brought out the redesigned Tiger Shark AX01, which is a great Titan Hunter and definitely worth a look. It needed a refresh, and they've done such an amazing job. And finally, in November, they brought out the Lord of War for the Space Marines, the Primaris' first super heavy tank, the Astraeus, along with Gore Halfhorn, which is the Beastman Bounty Hunter for Necromunda. The Astraeus, an absolutely lovely bit of kit, great tank, great big flying super heavy tank. Not as expensive as I initially thought. Maybe I was thinking it was going to be 300 or 350 because of the Mastodon, because of how big the Mastodon is. But then the Mastodon does have a fully detailed interior and a big door mechanism. A lot of things going on the Mastodon that just aren't there on the Astraeus. Think of it as like a, you know, larger sort of hovering repulsor, or cross between a Sakara and cross between a Baneblade. It's sort of all those sort of tanks in one, and with these big anti-grav plates on the side. Finally, in December, which was also at the Warhammer 40,000 open day in the November, was Captain Cullen in the Leviathan Dreadnought, upgraded for the 41st millennium with double assault cannons and a nice looking claw. Bit more expensive than a Leviathan, but I think you'll agree, a lot more detail going on this model. If you want to vote for your kind of favourite model of the year, Forge World do have a Facebook page, so you can get involved with that. I don't think they have a voting sort of system like Games Workshop have. I think they should have had, because if you look at all these models, there are a ton of really nice models that Forge World have brought out. Yes, there's no Warlord Titan or anything like that, but I definitely think that it is a better year than last year. A lot more models were released, and they were such good quality as well. I was really impressed with all the Custodes models at the start of the year, and of course the Stormbird. And I think they did an amazing job on Magnus. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and they did an amazing job with all the Thousand Sons and the Space Wolves, of which the Terminators haven't been released yet. I think they're about to be released soon, so you won't have to wait too long for them. My personal favourite model, I did like the Stormbird, the Astraeus and the Orion. I really did like all of those. But for me, my favourite model to build and to use and to modify as well, I magnetise it and things. Yes, if you haven't already guessed, my favourite model, bearing in mind I did get the Astraeus, the Stormbird, the Orion and the Thunderhawk, I have to give it to the Thunderhawk. The Thunderhawk, such a joy to build. It's at a decent price point. Yes, it's not plastic, but I think they've done such an amazing job in resin. With the door, the front door that opens, I like the heavy bolters on all the sides that can be magnetised. I like the wing that can be deployed, the turbo laser, even the canopy that you can, you know, take off and put back on and magnetise. You know, so many options. Magnetise the missiles, so many options in this model, and I think it's very iconic. Yes, they changed it. They changed the wings slightly. They changed the front heavy bolters, but they put the air brakes on it. They detailed up the inside. They changed like the dorsal wing. I think it is just a fantastic model, and very iconic. Looks incredible with a load of, you know, sort of standard sort of Space Marines around it. It's my favourite model of the year and my number one in all of that range. As always, I'd like to hear what you guys think. What was your favourite model of the year at Forge World? Model that you actually physically got, not just like looking at pictures, because obviously we know it's completely different sort of kettle of fish from owning the model and going through all the stages and building it to, you know, just looking at a picture of one. Completely different. Please do, though, if you have owned any of those, which was your favourite out of those, please do put it in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.